entrepreneur in you who was always waiting to be unleashed.
Absolutely. And then from the marketing role, I was lucky enough I got the CEO role last year.
CEO Aseem Puri.
Mr. Aseem Puri.
Did I plan for it? Did I expect it? Did I write it down somewhere? I want this? Not really.
You did all of these products, like you started with Surf, because Surf Excel was really big in India.
Yeah.
Super big. So you did all at once, or you were just kind of doing like one at a time, and then you became the category brand manager?
Worked on Daag Ache Hai or Dirt is Good campaign.
Wow. So the revolutionary campaigning
So,
and marketing.
We really tried to go deep into understanding what mums want. We got these liquid detergents. We wanted to give it to consumers who are using powders. And she poured the liquid into the bucket and she started screaming in thanks, something. And then we realized why we were failing is because our product was too easy to resolve. We managed to make really the world's #1 detergent at that time.
Wow.
In the volume sold.
Wow.
So we broke all records on sales.
I want to talk about tech valuations. So clearly, these valuations have outstripped every other sector.
Sure.
Can FMCG brands create similar level of value? What do you think is the key to achieving this?
Like I said, I think the interesting thing is
Hello and welcome to Talklane. Today I have immense pleasure and privilege of hosting Aseem Puri. Aseem Puri is CEO of Unilever International. At Unilever, he drives the white space expansion across 200 plus markets globally. Aseem is a powerhouse in digital and performance marketing, renowned for scaling brands worldwide, building innovative business models, and spearheading market expansions in regions like Africa and Latin America. And he's also the creator of groundbreaking initiatives like Unilever Partnerships and Unilever Diaspora, which serve Fortune 500 companies and over 500 million consumers globally. An acclaimed speaker at Harvard, NUS, and other prestigious platforms, he is also the author of 10x Productive, a book whose content has had 1 million views online. Aseem Puri exemplifies excellence. Get ready for an inspiring conversation with none other than Aseem Puri.
thank you, Anu. Great to be here.
Yeah. Aseem, on a personal note, I think I should let everybody know I have now known you for what? 11, 12 years?
More than 10 years.
More
yes.
than 10 years for sure.
Yes.
This is like, you were one of my first few friends in Singapore.
Yes.
Which was, I think, 2012 or 2013. Oh my God.
I think that's just few years after I moved to Singapore.
Yes. And I remember we were introduced by my then friend, Kiren Tanna, who was managing director and CEO for Food Panda.
Okay.
And remember, we went to this cricket match at some
Yes.
sports bar.
Yes.
I think that's how. And I think since then, over 12 years, it has been a long friendship, lot of exchanges, lot of personal, deep,
Yes.
intimate conversations that we've had over the years.
Absolutely. And it's wonderful to be here and I'm so happy we could meet in New York.
I'm so excited to do this with you because if I know of one person with whom I would have an unfiltered, candid, in-depth conversation about any or many topics, it will be you.
Well, we'll see how it goes, but yes.
All right, cool. So you started with sales.
Yes.
Probably like area sales manager.
Yes.
Did you start as
Yes.
an area sales
Yes,
manager?
yes,
Did you rise the ranks to become the zonal sales manager?
Area sales, senior sales manager. And then I got bored because I get bored easily and
Yeah.
I want to do variety of stuff. So I said, okay, I want to do marketing. And I jumped into marketing, which was in the home care or the laundry category.
But sales was in a different category because you spoke about
Sales was across all categories.
Okay.
Right, where you sell all products.
Okay, because you're managing a certain areas and there you
Yes,
probably
yeah.
have entire Unilever portfolio.
That's right. I was managing Gujarat as an area,
Yeah.
which was a tough area to manage, but we ended up being the fastest growing region in the country. Then joined marketing
But for fabric care.
for fabric care,
Yeah.
for Surf Excel, Wheel, Rin,
Oh.
etc.
So did you like move on to because I have an association with Unilever which I'll come to a couple of minutes later. But basically, you did all of these products. Like you started with Surf because Surf Excel was really big in India. Rin, super big. So you did all at once, or you were just kind of doing like one at a time, and then you became the category brand manager?
No, I did a couple of brands, Surf Excel, Wheel at the same time. And another lesson in career always was ask for more responsibility, seek out more, stretch yourself, say why not, and take on more assignments, more projects. Because A, you learn, B, you deliver. Therefore, I took on a lot more responsibility, became marketing manager. We did a lot of fantastic campaigns. We worked on Daag Ache Hai or Dirt is Good
Oh,
campaign
wow.
for India. That's when we started around that time.
That was a revolutionary campaigning and marketing then.
But
Yeah.
again, doing the deep consumer work with mums in India, because our brand was all about mums and kids and about kids getting dirty and learning good things, that we really tried to go deep into understanding what mums want. So we started trying to find from different mums in India, what is it that they truly desire in their kids, right? And instead of asking them rational answers, we started asking them stories about their children. You know, what are the moments when you felt the most love, or when you felt the most proud of your child? So when we asked this question, it was surprising. For most mothers, their most proud moment was not when the son or daughter came first or second in class. It was when the son or the daughter did something loving towards the parent.
Sweet.
So one of the stories I remember was about a lady telling us how her son, and she was from a lower income family, how her son, when he won a small prize in the school, this boy used to walk to his school because school is far away. His uncle then got him a cycle so that he could go because he won the prize. This boy went into the market and he sold his cycle to buy his mother nice sari.
Wow.
Because he said, my mother doesn't have a nice sari.
Wow.
So the mother told us this, then she started crying, and then we saw the same thing repeat itself. And we realized that it's the act of love. It's the act of a good habit of compassion, kindness. These are the things that matter most to mothers. And therefore, Dirt is Good became about displaying these noble values, these good values of children while they're getting dirty. So that was one great campaign. And many such. But it's all about deep human insights, right? So I think that was fantastic. And we managed to make Wheel the world's #1 detergent at that time.
Wow.
In volume sold.
Wow.
So we broke all records on sales. So that was really fantastic. And then after that, I got the opportunity to move to Singapore to become a regional marketing manager for the home care category for all of Asia. I started that role and worked in that role for some time.
But you were also in Korea for a brief while?
That was later.
That was later
in my career.
So,
yes.
so what happened after Singapore? Now you are still in Singapore. So between two Singapore stint, what happened?
No, so in Singapore, I started with the home care journey and again had some interesting assignments like building new categories. How do you build a new category? And we had this challenge that it was a powders market, right? Everybody using detergent powders across Asia. In the developed world, people had moved on to using more modern formats like liquids and more premium formats. But in the Asian markets, that had not happened. And it had been tried 2-3 times, but we had failed. So again, when the assignment came to me saying in Southeast Asia, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, go convert. And again, I don't speak the language in any of these countries. I don't understand the culture of these countries. I have no idea except for going on a beach holiday in Thailand. Rest, I have no clue. And then I'm thrown into the deep end. But again, my first lesson stuck with me saying, if all else fails, if I don't understand anything, all I have to do is have deep, intimate conversation with the consumer. I have to live in their homes, see their life, understand how they behave, and truly try to understand their pain points so that I can solve for it, right? So again, we had a very interesting experience where we got these liquid detergents. We wanted to give it to consumers who are using powders. And I remember in one home in Thailand, we had gone outside of Bangkok and we gave it to the lady and said, okay, now wash your clothes with this new product. So she again went back to her old product and started. I said, no. I take away your old product. I give you this new product that you've never used in your life before. Show me how you're going to do it. And she poured the liquid into the bucket because it was a hand wash. That's how people wash in Asia, with their hands in a bucket. And she started screaming in Thai, something. And she's kept screaming 3-4 times, and I didn't understand. I asked the translator, what is she saying? She's saying, it's gone. I said, it's gone means what? What is gone? And the lady said, that thing that you gave me, the liquid, I put it in the bucket, it's gone. I can't see it. Where is it? Because it had mixed with the water. So I didn't understand what she meant. Then I said, Acha, theek hai, okay, I can't figure this out. Get a new bucket. Do it the way you normally do it. She put the powder inside and she said, look, it's not gone. I can see it floating. I can see it sinking. Then she put her hand inside to mix because it hadn't mixed well, right? And it created a ton of foam. And then we realized why we were failing is because our product was too easy to dissolve. It dissolved so quickly that she didn't shake it. There was no foam. She felt it doesn't clean. So then we went back into the lab and made it very difficult to mix, which is counterintuitive. We said it should not easily dissolve. It should have a dark color so you can see it. And then when I went back after 3 months with a new prototype, they said, I can see something floating, so I have to mix it. Put my hand inside, started shaking, created a ton of lather. Okay, it's working. So we did many such things, and then happy to say it became our biggest innovation globally.
Wow.
It's hundreds of millions of dollars in sales.
Wow.
Even till today, when I go to all these markets, the aisles are full of that product. So, and it's for a marketeer, it's a big achievement if you do something 5 years later, 10 years later, whatever you have done is still there. That's very rare. It's not common. Most things come, they go, they fail.
Yeah.
But things that remain show if you do good quality consumer work, they remain. So I did that stint. And then I had the
Can I interrupt you here?
Yeah, of course.
I was one of the consumers like that woman. Okay, yeah, because it's very Indian Asian mindset. I remember because we're used to that, that the powder and like she said, she'll stir the water and the foam will come. For me, that means it is something has happened.
It's working.
Something has happened.
Yes.
Like I can believe that product is there. And I think the liquid that you spoke about was also introduced in Indian market at some point in time. And when
the same project then got rolled out into India many years later.
Yeah. But early on, when I would mix the liquid and it will just become water, I will be unnerved. I'm like, is it really going to is it really going to wash my stuff? Because I don't see it. If I don't see lather, if I don't see dirt kind of like very clearly, I don't believe the product is real. So this was such a powerful insight, and this is like even the most educated of people. I am educated enough, and yet I had that mindset whether it is working or not. So it's such a powerful insight.
Absolutely.
That happens through
Absolutely.
that. I have to also share one more trivia.
Sure.
So I was explaining what my Unilever connection was. I started my career with Group M, which was actually agency on record for Unilever.
For Unilever, yes.
And I worked on skincare category
right.
At that point in time. So I worked with them on activation, media planning and buying. And I have such huge respect for Unilever, I can't explain you. Because some of the very fundamentals of marketing and fundamental of consumer insights or how to capture, gather and, evaluate those insights, I learned from Unilever. What you spoke about was more like a household visit part of...
Sure.
So many viewers might not know. Not just for Unilever, like the brand and marketing team, but also to the agency. They will push this effort to agency and say, go talk to consumers.
Absolutely.
Don't do research like without. So the
Absolutely.
visits it'll not even be focus group discussion. It'll be going to consumers in their house.
Yes.
And it'll be done through agency, and so many times the consumers will not even know that I'm coming to talk about Unilever.
Correct.
Or as a representative of Unilever.
Correct.
And then we will just go and ask them everything about their life, their day, what they do. We see the products that they use, we see how they set them up, and so this was like such a powerful exercise, and that lesson actually has stayed with me throughout my career.
No, absolutely.
And that was, but I'm so glad to say this. Unilever was kind of a pioneer in that space.
Yeah. And again, the tools and technologies change, right?
Yeah.
So new tools, new platforms will always keep coming. So for example, today, not just doing the classic old, let's call it the classic version of the focus group or the home visit. We still do that. I was in Kenya 4 weeks ago. I was still doing that. But today, through social listening, search listening, e-commerce review mining, you can get the same understanding at a mass scale. You can understand from 10,000 reviews of a product, what are the top features, what are the top pain points, what's working, what's not working. And based on that, design a new product or a new solution, or find a unmet need that has not been resolved, or you can read a Reddit thread and understand what people are talking about as a pain point or as a problem, or you can analyze social media for different comments or different sentiments, for example, on a brand or a category. So I think these tools make it even more powerful for us to get consumer insights. But ultimately, marketers must be deeply obsessed with delighting their consumers, right? Rather than proving their point of view. Because very often we get married to our point of view, our ideas. I think this is a good idea. Who cares? Nobody cares. Ultimately, does your user or your consumer care and love and like whatever you have to propose? If yes, great. If no, move on.
Yeah. So we spoke a lot about interesting stuff that you did at Unilever. So okay, so Southeast Asia, you became the head of the fabric category. Then you moved to Korea for a brief while.
No, then I had the opportunity. I had a career choice to make. I had a choice to make between taking on a global job in London, and I didn't know what was the other option because this is the job being offered to me. At that time, I had just started dating my current wife, Siri. And the choice was, and her family is in Bangkok. She's Thai.
Yeah.
And she's very close to her family, would like to go visit her mother regularly. So she was very clear. Ki, look, if I can't live very far away from my parents, I have to go visit my mother regularly. I have to be close to family, etc. So I said, okay, if we do long distance, this is already over. You know, we are dating only for 6-9 months. It's not like we've been dating for years. Therefore, the only chance of this working is if we are together. So then, okay, what is the other alternative? Then I saw that there was something called Unilever International, new business, looking for somebody in marketing. So I had no idea what it was, except it happened to be in Singapore, which is close enough to Bangkok and therefore suitable for us. So I went and met my predecessor in the job, Umesh. And immediately I knew that this is somebody who's very smart, very clever on commercials, sourcing, selling, financials, but has no clue about marketing. So whatever I say, he's going to believe. So I have a choice of working in London, far away from Siri, which is a personal challenge, and more of similar compared to what I've been doing, just maybe at a bigger scale. Therefore, the learning may be limited. Or I can deep dive into this area which looks very risky. Nobody really knows what is Unilever International, small business. It's not a core business within Unilever, but I'm going to be very close to Siri and she's going to be really happy, which is really important for me. Like you said, relationships really matter for me. So I said, simple decision. We'll figure out what happens with life. But let me stay close to the person I love and make sure we build a life together. That has proven to be a great decision because, of course, personally, then we got married and we've been together ever since. But professionally, taking on a business where nothing was ready, everything had to be developed from scratch, and nothing really was in place in terms of team or structure. Because the first day when I came, I said, okay, where's the marketing team? And then one girl walked up to me and said, I'm the marketing team. I'm like, really? For this entire global business, there's like 1 or 2 people running marketing? She said, yes. I said, what do you do? She said, if people request me for some point of sale material, etc., I give it to them. I said, what about campaigns? She said, what do you mean campaigns? I don't do any campaigns. So that's the starting point. So that's great because then I had the opportunity to build from scratch a global digital first model where instead of doing the classic conventional ATL, BTL, highly testing driven FMCG model, we said, okay, that's the moment when Meta, when Google, when social media is climbing. I said, let's just go straight for it. So we became a 90-95% digital first model. And as part of that model, we were given the opportunity in this business. Basically, we were like, you know, when brands are dying, businesses are dying, or things are not doing well, then when they're right at their terminal stage, you know, and the company has to make a decision, okay, what to do with them. Sometimes as a small business, we would be given the opportunity, hey, do you want to consider? So Korea at that time became such an opportunity where it was a business where it's a country where local companies are very strong. Multinationals tend to struggle because Koreans like Korean made products and Korean advertising and Korean everything. Now even the world loves it. So at that time, multinationals were struggling. Unilever was struggling. So we were given the opportunity saying, here is a country which is not doing so well. How about if you're interested? So I took on Korea, first as marketing head, later on as general manager. That's again been an amazing story. We are now the fastest growing FMCG company in the country.
Oh, wow.
We've turned around the business, grown it multiple times, become profitable, winning market share in many categories. Again, the secret has been very deep, very intense consumer connect, a lot of channel focus in channels that really grow fast, like e-commerce, particularly Kupang. So I did that role as well. So yeah, you can see every 2-3 years, I had the opportunity to do something completely different in a completely different market. So that way, while it's one company, it's been many, many jobs, very richly satisfying.
And that led to your role as a CEO of Unilever International?
Yeah, so I became the marketing head for Unilever International, and there was no marketing. There was only me, the head. So we had to build the marketing. And we built a global team, built a lot of new categories for Unilever, like lip care, for example. We launched Vaseline Lip into 50 plus markets. Then the good thing about this business is, one of our mottos is, the default answer is yes. If you come up with an idea, come up with a proposal, people are not going to say no. They're going to say yes. You're going to be given some money, you're going to be given the permission, you're going to be given the space to experiment. So when COVID happened, I still remember I was in India because Siri and I were visiting, and one of my suppliers mentioned to me casually, there is a lot of demand for sanitizers coming. I said, why? He said, look, we heard something's happening in China. This is in the month of February. Immediately my brain felt like, okay, something clicked in my head saying, look, I think there is a crisis, there is a problem, there is a need for some hygiene related products. And without asking anybody, I told my boss, look, we're going to create a small team. I think there will be a need to supply hygiene products to many markets. Let's get ready. In 7 days, the news of COVID-19 broke.
Wow.
And in 21 days, we started production on sanitizers. In 100 days, we had done hundreds of millions of produced, shipped globally.
Wow.
And when we were doing that, we ended up making a lot of new customers, like governments, airlines, hotels, who all wanted the same thing. Once the pandemic got over, these were our customers. They didn't want sanitizers anymore or masks. But we said, what else can we work with them? And from there, developed this new division called Partnerships, where we started working with them on in-room amenities, on beauty products. Today, Dove as a brand is in more than 1 million hotel rooms around the world.
Wow.
That was a business that didn't exist 4 years ago, right? Similarly, Diaspora, where there are 500 million people living away from home, people like yourself, like me, who crave their favorite food from home. So we created a small team to say, okay, let's serve the diaspora.
Wow.
And when we opened that, we realized, wow, there's already a large market of imports and exports of not only our brands, but many other brands. There are lots of ethnic stores all over America, all over Canada, in the UK, in France, catering to this community. They're really looking for our brands. So we again built a very successful diaspora business. So every 6 months, 9 months, when they have an idea, a hypothesis, we say, okay, go experiment, go try. And the default answer is yes. And as a result, we've been able to build many new businesses because of this mindset of experimentation. So I think that theme of experimenting has been with me since I was 5 years old.
I think that's the entrepreneur. I was just thinking that's the entrepreneurial you know, the guy who wrote all these newspaper columns, but the guy who also launched a magazine and failed at it.
Yes.
So there's the entrepreneur in you who was always waiting to be unleashed until probably this opportunity.
Absolutely. And then from the marketing role, I was lucky enough, I got the CEO role last year.
Amazing.
So I became the CEO last year. And again, did I plan for it? Did I expect it? Did I write it down somewhere? I want this? Not really. I think it's always whatever's the responsibility in front of you, do your best on that. Stretch yourself. Really ask the question of what else can you do? Like I said, do the work. The results are inevitable. They will come. Right? And they may not come today. They may come tomorrow. They may not come in this way. They may come in another way. But nobody can stop you from getting what you deserve. Nobody. And nobody can give you what you don't deserve.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's all about focusing on the input. The output will take care of itself.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. We've spoken a lot about Unilever, but I think a lot of people who'll be watching it might not truly understand the core business model of a consumer goods company. So, do you want to take a moment to explain that? And then maybe I can ask you more about how the model has changed, how the traditional aspects of business have changed, and the new age marketing and new age Unilever. But before that, what is the core traditional consumer goods business model?
So, look, consumer goods as an industry is over 100 years old, the modern version of it at least, and is built originally on the model of mass simplification of consumer needs. So, you need to clean your hair, so there's a shampoo category or a hair care category. You need to shower or bathe, so there's a skin cleansing category. You want to have snacks, so there's a snacking category. And in that category, you have brands. Brands have identity, a color, a message, a purpose, a history, a proposition. And they try to consistently talk about that with a wide range of products, which are then sold through mass channels like supermarkets and e-com retail, etc., etc. And FMCG companies typically will do their own manufacturing. They will do their marketing in terms of creating advertising or communication. They will do their distribution and they will partner and sell to different retailers, right? That's the classic model. How has that changed over time? I think first from being mass, there has been a trend towards more niche, where instead of everybody buying the same brand and that brand having 40%, 50%, 30% market share, today, especially in categories like beauty or categories like nutrition or categories like hair care, skin care, cosmetics, you have hundreds of brands. Therefore, the big companies will have a portfolio. They will have a super premium brand. They will have 2 mass brands. They might have a value brand. There'll be lots of startup brands that are coming in, right? Which are competing with this. And then, of course, the third, the customization and specialization and nichification, where things become more niche, more specialized, keeps accelerating. Because why? FMCG companies used to have the advantage of scale. We manufacture in a big factory, so we have low cost. We have our own big distribution, so we have low cost of distribution. We buy media at big scale with TV and with print and with radio, and therefore we can invest money in building mass awareness. Today, if you are a startup, you can go to a third-party manufacturer, spend a few $1,000s and get one round of production done. You can distribute via e-commerce, whether it be Amazon, your own direct-to-consumer platform, whether it be social selling through TikTok. Therefore, cost of media is relatively low. So, if you have low cost of sourcing, low cost of marketing, you can be lean and experiment with an idea very quickly. And imagine if 10,000 entrepreneurs in a country start to experiment with FMCG, like that's happening in India as we speak right now. It's been happening in the US now for more than 8, 9, 10 years in different categories. Out of those 1,000 experiments, at least 1 to 2% will be successful. They will take market share from the big companies. Therefore, the industry is rapidly changing from mass to niche. So, as an example, Korea is a 50, 60, 70% e-commerce market. In Korea, you also have a very large ecosystem of third-party manufacturers. So if you wanted, and they're a beauty-obsessed country, faces everything. If you have an idea tomorrow saying, hey, I want to launch a skincare range inspired by Ayurveda or yoga, let's say, for example. You can go to 10 third-party manufacturers and they will design the range for you. The MOQ or minimum order quantity may be a few thousand pieces. You can launch it on an e-commerce platform like Coupang, for example. And the whole thing, $10,000, $20,000,
Oh, wow. That cheap?
$50,000, $100,000, depending on you. So if you're working in a job, you have an idea. You could take your 1 month or 2 months salary or your annual bonus and say, I'm going to launch a brand. I give you example. In India, my sister has just launched a halal toothpaste called Meraki. And she's been working on that idea for some time. It's cost her a very small amount of money to experiment. The traction is very good. She's scaling it rapidly. Now, where is that brand or the brands in Korea or other startup brand going to take market share from? they're going to take market share from the established players.
Yeah, Unilevers of the world. Yeah.
Whatever, Unilever, Colgate, P&G, whatever. So therefore, what do the big companies have to do to compete with startups? We have to become more nimble, more agile. Have to start to have a portfolio of smaller niche brands. Have to go e-commerce first. Have to have much more ability to experiment with small brands and not worry too much about failure.
So innovation now is key.
I think speed of innovation is key.
Speed of innovation is key.
Speed of innovation is key. You have an idea, in 100 days you should be in the market.
How challenging it is for somebody like some players like Unilever, right? Because you have it's a massive organization, bureaucratic, so many layers of, approvals, buy-ins, your distribution. And one of the things that it really makes me, the minute you go direct to consumer, you upset your entire distribution network or a lot of your distributors, some of who are giants.
Yeah. So I think two different things. So first, we are bringing speed to market. In my business and in many parts of the company, we launch products within, I would say, it may not be always 100 days, but maybe 200 days, 6 months, 9 months. So we start to get more agility. Second, I think where big companies like Unilever have a lot of strengths is we have deep heritage in our brands. We have R&D and technology and a great science base to leverage to bring great innovations to the market. We have distribution muscle. And when we see success, we move fast. So when something is working, we roll out globally. Like Vaseline Lip, we launched first in Korea, but now we are in 50 plus markets. We are market leader in more than 1/3 of those countries. So we have those advantages. But at the same time, we have to always ask ourselves, who is your new competitor? Your new competitor is no longer just a company that is like yourself. Your new competitor is Anu, who has an idea to launch a new brand. And therefore, you must either, your main team has to become agile, or you create a unit like Unilever International, or you have an experimentation incubation unit, or you allow a few people a little bit money to experiment. So everybody can work out what their model is. But you got to leverage the new manufacturing model and the new digital distribution model to really service. I think on D2C, FMCG has not cracked D2C. In general, it is not a big channel for any company. E-commerce is much bigger. And the main reason is that on D2C, what works is A, high value, so that you can actually ship the product. B, exclusivity. Whatever you buy on direct to consumer should have a certain amount of exclusivity, premiumness, not easily available elsewhere. So if you try to sell the same products that you sell at the supermarket on D2C, of course you will create channel conflict with your partners. Of course, even to a shopper, why should they bother identifying your D2C site, going there, placing an order? No, they are far more comfortable doing it on the channel that they do it on today, whether it's Amazon or whether it's in Walmart or whether it's in Target or Kroger. So for D2C to work, you need to have exclusive portfolio. You need to identify differentiated offerings that are not easily available. Then D2C will work. D2C doesn't work if you just take your current portfolio and launch it on your own platform or maybe offer some promotion, etc. No consumers bother to go there. So one of the things we've experimented with is the Good Cart in Singapore, which is our D2C platform, where we identified the best of the premium portfolio of Unilever, which is not available in Singapore, bring that portfolio into the market and launch that as an exclusive for consumers. So that model is working because people are able to find things that either they don't know about, so it's new, or things that they know about but were not available. And we use it more like a testing ground. So we launch on D2C, things that work, then we scale it into e-commerce. Things that work, then we bring it offline.
So e-commerce is more like a channel. So you basically, e-commerce meaning how will you place your products on Walmart and Amazons of the world? Is that what it is?
It's another channel for you to grow, but again, it's a differentiated channel where products that require education, products where consumers have questions, products where you need explanation, how to, before and after, this platform is very much suited for those categories. So for example, take beauty and skincare. If you want to expand regime, build a new category, like we are building we discovered, for example, through e-commerce review mining, that an interesting trend, we had a product called Vaseline Body Oil, which is a product that gives you body shimmer, glow, etc. we found two interesting things. One, there were tons of fakes of this product. And the fakes had lots of variants that we didn't have. And second thing we found was there were lots of great reviews talking about how people love the product, but it's very expensive. And then we discovered that basically there is a deep need for a body care product that gives you a shine or a shimmer, especially when you wear a sleeveless dress or if you wear a skirt, etc., etc. Many women would like to have that kind of glow on their skin, but we were not offering a wide range. We were not offering in every country. We said, okay, let's go quickly. Let's scale via e-commerce and make it available via e-commerce and put tons of content out there. Now, that's not something I can do in an offline channel. When I take an offline channel and I want to educate you as a shopper, it's not easy for me to get placement. It's not easy for me to put point of sale. It's not easy for me to put a promoter in every store to explain it to you. But on e-commerce, I can do that. I can drive you from your search to the purchase behavior by using content. So e-com is highly relevant for education, for before after, for how to, for complex category, for categories that need a lot of explanation. That's the perfect channel.
So does that not help with mass products like maybe Rin or Surf or Wheel or Vaseline, like, the Vaseline petroleum jelly? Because I also see that, like, at least for me, I never really go to the stores now for any of these products. Like Amazon is the easiest way for me to, click and collect, or click and just be delivered at my doorstep.
Yes.
So is that, at least in United States, right? Like, at least in United States, I think the footprints in the retail outlets are reducing, and that's why they either want to go e-commerce model or direct to consumer model. So for the mass products, is that not the right choice? Or are we talking about like different markets? So maybe like e-commerce penetration in Asia is different from United States and Europe.
No, sure. E-commerce is at different stages of evolution, but it's large and growing almost everywhere in the world, right? So of course in the US and Western Europe, 15 to 20% of the market is on e-commerce. China as well. India is emerging very quickly to 8 to 10% with now quick commerce taking space. Middle East is growing. So I think it's true everywhere. But again, like I said, for example, all products can and should be available wherever shoppers search. So if you are a primarily e-com shopper, you also need to buy a detergent. I have to make it available. That's my duty. But the model of so availability is one different thing, right? So if a brand is well known in a market like Surf Excel in India, it will be available in all channels in relevant packs, formats and sizes. But when I want to bring a new innovation, new format, like for example, capsules. If I want to move consumers from liquids to capsules, I am going to target the higher income consumer who's most likely having the internet and having access to e-commerce. I am going to have to explain why capsules are significantly better than whatever you use today with a lot of content. Therefore, for this consumer, for this launch, an e-com first launch is much better than me going nationwide, going into all channels, going into offline, etc. Because the key with every launch, for every marketeer who's out there to do something new, to bring about change, build a new category, build a new brand, remember, you first need a core cohort of early adopters. You don't need everybody to love you, but you need somebody to really love you. You first need to identify those people, that group of people, and they are probably people who are already searching for something like this, right? Therefore, e-commerce is a great platform to launch, seed, incubate. Once it's working, you can bring it to all other channels.
Got it. So we spoke a lot about distribution channels, distribution in general for FMCG. We understand that's the core of the business. Other pillar of the business is actually advertising and branding. And I started my career in advertising branding, so I can understand how important that brand identity, as you mentioned earlier, is. The story that you create around that brand. Dirt is good, Daag Ache Hai, and that becomes your identity. How has advertising landscape, and I'm not talking about the placement alone, but also the creative evolution changed in the social media and digital era of advertising now?
Yeah, see, I think the biggest thing is that from a world of brand say, where brand decides what it wants to say, what it wants to stand for, how it wants to communicate, develop advertising, work with agency, do all the testing, be consistent in your messaging, etc., etc. That has shifted to a world of consumer say, where today it's much more important what people are saying about you and your brand and your product than what you are saying about it. People will skip advertising. They will look for the skip button on YouTube. They will ignore all commercial messages. They will skip the ad break. Or they will, even I have seen people remove their earphones when Spotify ad break will come and put it back on once 30 seconds have passed, right? We are designed and attuned to ignore and not really listen to commercial messages. Whereas when you read a review, if you are searching for a holiday, the most important thing for you is the reviews written by strangers. If somebody says this hotel was terrible and gave it a 3-star, doesn't matter what that hotel company is saying to you, you're not going to book. You trust the other strangers' reviews much more than you trust the brand's point of view. So the biggest shift is more than 50% of the time of marketing in communication needs to go on how to get communities, influencers and consumers to experience you as a brand and talk about you. So therefore, creating interesting product experiences and giving it to consumers or to influencers so that they can talk about your brand is much more important than working on the perfect creative and advertising.
What do you mean by product experience or brand experience here?
So why should anybody talk about you? What's special about your product, your service, your whatever you are doing that they should talk about you? So first thing to remember is what others say about you is the number one determinant of whether consumers will buy you or not. Second thing to say is it's not just as simple as, oh, I recruit 10 influencers, paid them some money and they can post on my behalf. People can see through that. When it's a purely commercial message and somebody says, oh, I tried, this is great, it's fantastic, you should buy it too, here is the link. Most viewers know, oh, okay, here is an ad masquerading as content. But when it's a genuine review, when somebody says, I use this product, it solved my problem, or I loved it, look at the before and look at the after, then you start to persuade consumers. So you have to engage communities. Now, many brands do many different ways. Some people develop panels of influencers with whom they'll have long-term relationships, not ad hoc, but long-term. I just came from a meeting with our partner Scrub Daddy in the US, in Philadelphia. We work with them to launch Sif and Scrub Daddy in the US. And they have that approach of they partner with many influencers over many, many years, where they build a long-term relationship with them. They bring them to their offices. They have training with them. They have workshops with them. They help those influencers to join events. And therefore, they build a deep relationship where the influencers then review the new products, which then people follow. A second model is micro-influencer, where you say, okay, I don't go for the big names. I go for anybody who has a small or limited following but a passion for that area. Like on TikTok, for example, people follow passions. So there is something called Clean Talk, where people who are cleaning obsessed talk about cleaning homes, how it's therapeutic, how it makes them calmer, how it makes them satisfied to see the before dirty become the after clean. We work with thousands of such influencers to place our products. They use our products to do what they normally do in their life, record the content, and it comes out as interesting entertainment. So I think these models are not well established. Everybody's experimenting and doing different things. Somebody's doing it better, somebody's doing it worse. But the big shift is from the big agency and client relationship developing the perfect campaign. It's changed to multiple smaller agencies working with the client on multiple briefs to get others to speak to you. So almost like I say that, earlier in marketing, we are trying to paint the perfect Picasso. We're going to make one painting. It's going to be perfect. It may take 6 to 9 months. And then everybody will look at it and say, oh my God, I love it. Now it's like the Dilbert model. Every day you're going to put a cartoon out. It's not perfect. It's average. It's just interesting for that day. It makes you smile or chuckle or laugh. And then you move on, you forget all about it.
Yeah.
So that world of getting others to talk about you. Second, marketeers becoming content creators. See, as you're doing this podcast, it's comfortable for you to, think of a script, think of questions, find the person you're going to interview, book the studio, make the content, then promote it, and then keep doing it week after week after week after week. Some days, some weeks will be good, some will be great, some will be crap. Marketeers are not built like this. They are built to do big things. They're built to do that big campaign, the big launch. But the world has changed. You need to now be a content production expert. You need to be able to make your own content, do your own demos, sell on live stream your product to consumers. And that is a skill people have to acquire. So I think communication and marketing has totally changed. Of course, we haven't talked about AI. That is yet to come, where AI-driven content will become the dominant form of marketing content over the next 4 to 5 years. That's not happened yet, but it will happen as we speak.
Yeah. So I worked with big tech. I was in the product space. I was a product manager, and I worked on advertising products as well as on the creator brand matchmaker. So it's basically creator brand marketplace where brands can come and put in their requirements and look for the right kind of influencers that they want to partner with.
Sure.
And then influencer has their set of guidelines that they have to follow, and that's kind of the partnership. And a lot of times, if we were not approached by Group M's or JWTs or ONMs of the world, it'll basically will be like very small agencies acting on behalf of brands, or it'll be big brands themselves who have their marketing team kind of just scouting and filtering these influencers for their requirement. So I know influencer marketing is very big. I also saw a very big trend of AI in advertising, especially a lot of big tech are rolling this out where they want to eliminate the agencies completely and reach out to the advertisers directly. What they are doing is for creations of creatives, it's called creative optimizations, where you can just write your brief. I remember when working at Group M, also working in FMCG at one point in time, I will write all these brand briefs, which is about brand personality and user personas and the brand objectives that I have. And now you can write the same script and AI will create a creative for you in a few minutes.
Yes.
And AI will give you all kind of options, like do you want to focus on just your brand messaging or just one product, or you want to roll out your carousel of product, and there are like so many type of creatives that you can experiment with, and your ad is ready in probably less than a few hours and in the kind of resolutions and dimensions that you want. And I remember when I was working in advertising, it was quite a process, like you said. Like there was an exclusive partnership with O&M, and O&M will be working on your one campaign for 9 months.
Absolutely.
And there'll be like one ad, one creative, one such campaign rollout, and you spend millions of dollars in an entire year just on that one campaign, and that's like your clear winner. And that has totally changed. Like you want to go into micro influencing, like you said, micro influencers, big influencers, and creative optimization through AI. So it is a very changed world right now.
And it also means that just like other industries, the new skill, the earlier skill is work with the agency, write the perfect brief, judge the creative, launch the creative. The new skill is learn the technology. Master the technology, iterate with the technology, develop different products, prototypes, test, learn, optimize. So it's a different skill set, different mindset. There's a lot more do-it-yourself. Marketeers are not in the do-it-yourself mode usually. They are in the brief the agency self. That again has to become a muscle that you develop yourself, which is a difficult transition to make for most marketeers. But that's what we need to make.
Since you spoke about technologies, what are the key kind of, in an era which is dominated by tech currently, what are the key tech trends that you see that is shaping the FMCG or the advertising world at present?
So, like I think you already mentioned, AI-driven content is the first. It's coming first into static, then into video. Whether it be e-commerce content or social media content first. But I think in 2, 3, 4 years or maybe even earlier, we might see full-scale creative films and content being made with AI. And then the trick will be, now imagine if everybody has access to the same 5, 6 tools or the underlying platforms, etc., which means what's the differentiator? If everybody has access to the same technology, how does your brand get differentiated? So again, it goes back to, I think still the core will be deep consumer insight and understanding. We are still here about delighting human beings and solving their needs and meeting their solving their unmet problems. So that still remains a core skill set. Second thing is speed and agility. How fast can you move? How fast can you quickly convert an opportunity you see in the market into a product, service, or a solution? Get it out there, test, learn, and experiment. Third, I think from a content production capability, leveraging AI, leveraging performance marketing, data analytics, and lastly, ultimate marketing destination is taking the niche from mass to niche, from niche to personalized, which means eventually imagine I can create that one perfect body wash for you that you absolutely love, with the fragrance that you prefer, in the color that you like, in the size that you prefer, delivered to your home when you want it, as a direct to consumer model where I have your data, I know what you want, I can interact with you, and I can recommend to you, and I can engage with you. So eventually it is marketing to one person as the destination. We are not there yet, but I think in the next few years we are not that far away either. But the people who will win will be A, who are the most deeply consumer connected, B, those who are the most agile, and C, those who are the most deeply personalized using technology.
Great point. Since we are already at the topic of tech trends, I want to talk about tech valuations. So clearly, these valuations have outstripped every other sector. Okay, the Magnificent Seven, and they're all tech, big tech.
Sure.
Can FMCG brands create similar level of value? What do you think is the key to achieving this?
Like I said, I think the interesting thing is why tech companies are able to create value. A lot of them are able to create value because they have data. They have consumer data, and leveraging the consumer data, they can build lifetime relationships. They can monetize that into advertising. They can turn the data into different products based on the search behavior that you see on an e-commerce engine. You can say they also need this product, this product, this product, this product, right? So the data is really powerful, and that's helping the tech companies make decisions on how to drive monetization and lifetime value of the consumer relationship. FMCG companies, on the other hand, don't have this data because they don't directly sell to the consumer. They sell via intermediary, via distributor, via retailer, via channel partners. The key in FMCG is the moment we realize and wake up and say, actually, we have more household penetration than anybody else.
Yeah.
We reach every home on the planet, right? Every home on the planet has the toothpaste, has the shampoo, has the detergent, has the bar of soap, has a product. So every home you walk into, somewhere in the home is a product that is coming from an FMCG company. Except the FMCG company doesn't know who you are. I don't know your name. I don't know what you buy. I don't know why you like it. I don't know what else you buy. And I don't know who else lives in your home. All data that the tech companies have. So FMCG must scale D2C, must scale first party data. Imagine if we can turn, in India for example, all of the consumers of Unilever into becoming our first party partners, where we exchange data in exchange for value, etc. What's the value of that? I think we would have the world's largest consumer database.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? I think yes, therefore FMCG companies can create similar or higher value. Has anybody done it? No. But can it be done? I think yes.
Awesome.
And maybe, who knows, maybe we're going to do it.
Yeah, maybe it'll be you leading
maybe,
that.
Maybe from this session will be the inspiration. Yes, definitely.
That's amazing. We spoke a lot about work. Clearly, you've done remarkable things. I'm in awe of the kind of things that you've done. And this conversation has been so enlightening on so many levels for me. That requires a lot of grit, determination, sacrifices, long hours at work. You've written a book, 10x Productive.
Yes.
Tell me, how are you so productive to have an excellent work-life balance as you do?
So I don't know if I have an excellent work-life balance. Not sure my wife and my family would agree. They would always say,
I have
you need to spend more time with us.
No. I know this. Okay, I have known you and I know this. Like, you prioritize your time with your family. Like, I know you have that set task, that set schedule in your calendar. That point in time, everything is non-negotiable, right? Like, it's just so important for you.
But I think so again, how the 10x Productive book came about was, it started with me saying to myself that, look, again in the spirit of experimentation, stretching myself, testing my limits, I said, look, I must do well in my job. I must be spending time with family, must also take care of my passion of writing and think of other ideas that I have. How do I make time for all of this, right? And then I started experimenting with lots of ideas, some of which worked, some of which didn't work. And then I started blogging about it on LinkedIn. That got a lot of good response, and that eventually became the book. So few lessons that I learned, right? So first lesson is, if you want to receive wisdom, as the Buddhists say, you first have to empty your cup. So if you really want to do what's important, first you have to get rid of what's not important. Which means that in work life, if you're running a company or working in a company or working in a team or an organization, or if you have a boss, you're going to have meetings. And most meetings are useless because you don't remember what happened. Agendas are not clear. Minutes are not always written. Very often it is two people talking to each other and other people are looking. So lots of meetings are not very efficient, or they may be too long, or there may be too many slides being made or too much pre-work being done. So the first thing I did was to really say, let me tackle this thing called what I call the meeting monster. And I put myself a target that I'm going to delete 25 meetings a week, 100 meetings a month. And I started doing that a year and a half ago. And every week on Sunday night or on Monday morning, I start my week by identifying the least important meetings of the week, the ones that are just FYI, agenda is unclear, I don't know what the person wants, delete. Create the space. Similarly, reduce the frequency. Reduce the average amount of time, because there is no rule in any book which says everything has to be 60 minutes. Because Microsoft set the default at 60 minutes doesn't mean we have to send a 60-minute invite. We can send a 15-minute invite, for example. Then I noticed that a lot of times when we have a conflict, we have a dispute, we have a complex topic, we have a conversation that needs to be had, instead people are doing emails with each other, and there is an email warfare going on with lots of replies to each other, with people keep adding other people in CC, wasting everybody's time. So again, simple rule, one phone call saves 10 emails. Pick up the phone if there is a dispute, if there is a debate, talk to each other. And many other such similar rules that I started putting into place for myself. I found that I was able to create a lot of time. So I can wake up early, do yoga, do meditation, plan the day, spend time with my wife, call my mother, do the important meetings of the day, still have time for one-on-one with people, come back home on time, and still be able to relax, etc. Not on every day, but on many days. These tips and skills have really helped me, and I started sharing, got good feedback. The book is out there. I think you got a copy as well. And people are telling me that, again, not every idea will work for everyone, but there are some or the other ideas that will definitely work for somebody. So I had one friend talk to me the other day. She said, I was reading your book, and then I realized that, look, I keep replying to emails where the other person keeps replying to my email. And we are constantly emailing each other over a topic where actually we need to have a conversation. So I said, why are you not talking? She said, I'm just not used to it. So why did you try? She tried, and she was shocked that things that were unsolved for a long time with lots of emails got solved in one conversation. Because when we talk to each other, we can't be rude to each other. It's much easier to write 3 question marks in an email, much harder to do it on the phone, and almost impossible face to face. Second, we really then understand what the other person is trying to say. What do they really want, right? So I think eliminating or reducing meetings, optimizing email, then again, instead of a long to-do list, the simple question I ask is, what's my meat of the day? Meat stands for most effective action today. What's the one most important thing I must do every day that will make a difference to my goals? Then, what are we working towards? Because, how many weeks, like I would ask you, Anu, do you have left to live? What do you think?
I don't know.
Guess.
Like, maybe at least 20 more years. So 20 into 52
is
1,000, about 1,000.
Right.
Weeks.
So it's 1,000. Maybe it's 1,500. Maybe it's 2,000. It's not a lot. It's a few thousand Sundays, a few thousand Mondays, a few thousand Tuesdays. So the real question is, what do we or you or me want to do with this time? What are the most important things we would like to accomplish? And trust me, it's not meetings. It's not promotion. It's not salary increase. It's not more work. It's not more projects. It is time with family. It is following the passion. It is travel or other such things that really matter to us. So I also start by saying you need to define your life goals. If you can have targets at work, you should have targets personally. The targets that matter to you, they must be written down. And you must be able to refer to it every single day and say, am I working in direction of these targets or not? So this and other ideas are in the book. Hopefully readers find it useful.
Yeah. talking about you spoke a lot about your marriage, your relationship with Siri. I've met Siri. I think she's one of the most wonderful people that I know of. I remember meeting her. I remember talking about her mother at that point in time. She used to go back and forth very frequently to Bangkok. And obviously you've had a very successful relationship with her, right? But I'm sure you also had your share of failures in relationship.
Sure.
What is your learning? So learning from failures and applying that or them to make your current relationship a stellar success.
Yeah, I think, of course, a lot of credit to her for being the wonderful person she is. But I think my biggest learning has been that in relationships, most issues or challenges come from lack of communication. Not being able to freely say what you truly want to say, not put your expectations out there clearly, and therefore it leads to misunderstandings, which then leads to frustration. Eventually, people may break up and move on, etc., etc. But I think the big learning for us has been, even we disagree, hold hands and keep talking. We will never walk out on each other when we are angry. We keep talking, keep conversing, keep trying to understand what the other person is trying to say. Because ultimately we know our intention for each other is positive. Even if I disagree with you on how to clean and maintain the house, or where to go for a holiday, or whether to buy this property or not, or whether even to have a child or not, or whatever other question you have in front of you, the intention is always about love, about togetherness, about caring for each other. It is a disagreement on a specific topic. Therefore, the only way to solve for it is truly to understand, to listen. And again, simple things really work when it comes to listening, understanding, communication. I noticed that there were days when we went out, for example, and after 20 minutes, maybe she referred to her phone for something, somebody called her or there was a message. That somehow became a invisible permission or cue for me to do the same. And very soon we are not talking to each other, we're talking to our phones. So I said, how about I experiment with, there's going to be no third person in our relationship, and that third person refers to my phone or any device. When I'm with her, I'm with her. So when we go out, I will leave my phone at home. I will not allow anything to distract me. And I found it was really interesting. Just that simple change made the quality of our conversation much better. Also, some of the practices that we have at work, I have applied in marriage. Like in work, we do 360 feedback.
Yeah.
Right? We ask for feedback. Tell me how am I doing on this area or that area? What can I do better? Blah, blah, blah. So I started doing that with Siri and said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate me as a husband? And you know, when she's frustrated, she says 6. And then I'll say, okay, fine. I take your feedback. I'm not going to defend or argue. What does it take for me to be a 10? And then she will start to say, look, if you do this, if you do this, if you do this, if you do this, I think you could be a 10. That's very useful because I learned from that exercise. There were things that are irritating or frustrating her about my behavior that she will not directly tell to my face. Because she loves me, she cares for me, therefore she doesn't want to say. But inside of her, it's a problem. So these small things, when they're addressed, life becomes better. But when they're not addressed, over the years, they will keep accumulating. So I think the most important lesson that I've learned in a relationship, it's about you just can't communicate enough.
So there's nothing like over communicating.
There is nothing like over communicating. And the other big lesson which I've learned both professionally and personally is the single biggest deficiency in the work world and in the personal world, deficiency of vitamin A. And vitamin A stands for vitamin appreciation. I think the world of work, we don't appreciate. We don't explicitly tell people how we feel about the work that they do, about their inputs, hardly. Personally also, in fact, the closer you are to somebody, the more rare it is that you give them a compliment. You assume it's understood. But no, it's not understood. You need to say it. You need to tell the other person specifically if they are looking good, or if they said something well, or if the food that they made was good, or if they were very nice on this particular occasion. The more explicit you are, the more obvious you are, the stronger your relationship. Yeah. So again, the ratio of appreciation to criticism, there's a lot of scientific research on this, is 5.34 to 1. Meaning for every one time you criticize somebody or give them feedback or tell them why something was not right, you have to appreciate them 5.34 times for them to feel equal. Now, how many of us are doing that? Hardly. Therefore, you have two options. Either A, learn to give vitamin A, or B, stop criticizing. Right? So that is another lesson in marriage, that it's very important that we recognize each other's special contribution and not take anything for granted. So if she made good breakfast for me, or I took time out to go join some work event of hers and recognize her and take pictures for her, we must both recognize this explicitly. We must both thank each other for that. We must both appreciate each other for that. That's important.
And that is your key to a very successful marriage.
I think communication, appreciation are very important legs for ensuring that no matter the difficulty and the challenges which will come anyway, they will always come. There will be up and down phases. In the down phases, these are the things that will keep you going.
So there's no marriage that does not have ups and downs.
Yes, of
The
course.
idea of a very smooth running, a fairy tale is a myth.
Yes,
That doesn't exist.
true.
I experience that even in my own relationship. There are days which are very tough. There are days which are really good. And I think it's a sum of all the experiences. And the crux is, like you said, there's nothing like over communicating. You have
Yes.
to communicate. Criticism, you have to be very mindful of that. Appreciation. You're right. There's not enough that we appreciate. We learn to take the other person for granted. It's just because sheer proximity. And just you can't see that anymore.
Yes. Or ego.
Ego.
For some people, it's hard to say to the other person, "You're great. You're amazing. I love it. Wow,
Yeah.
you did so well."
Yeah.
There are many reasons why. Or for some people, there's no role model. If you didn't see your parents or your teachers or your colleagues or your friends do it, you don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
There are cultures in Asia where people don't hug. They don't say "I love you" to their parents. Because that's just what you've grown up seeing. But does it mean the parents don't want to hear "I love you"? No, they do. But you have to practice.
Yeah.
You have to practice giving vitamin A and appreciation to each other. Then you get better and better at it.
Yeah. So with this amazing career, a wonderful personal life, what is next for you? You are obviously CEO Unilever International. What is next for you?
Well, look, I think my purpose is to serve and inspire. And therefore, public speaking, motivating others, writing, teaching is my passion, has been from day one. Of course, in the Unilever job, many years, I didn't give this sufficient amount of time. Last couple of years, luckily, I have managed to do that. And I've been writing, I've been speaking. I'm here in this forum giving out all these ideas. I think this is what I'm going to do more and more of while I'm doing my marketing job as well. And at work as well. All of the principles that I talk about, whether it's vitamin A, whether it's communication, doing less meetings, getting 10x productive, I treat it as my responsibility, as my leadership role in my company to make sure that for everybody in the team, I implement these principles and create a better place to work. So my job is to serve and inspire, both personally and professionally. I just wish I can do it 24/7, every single day. And that's what brings me the satisfaction. So it's not, again, a goal of a position, a title, or certain amount of money, or any kind of material reward that I'm chasing. I'm not. I'm in it to say, how can I serve and inspire everyone every day?
Amazing. So with so much of what you're going to achieve moving forward and everything that you've done in the past, what is one personal legacy that you wish to leave behind?
Well, I would love to create university or a curriculum for what I believe the things that matter the most, but which we are never taught. The things like appreciation, recognition, gratitude, compassion, the topics that really matter in life, right? So it's for, like, I'm convinced now that compassion is much more important than physics.
So EQ over IQ.
Not just EQ, but I think well beyond that, these are core skills that need to be taught. Like, for example, meditation. Why is that not a skill being taught to every 3, 4 and 5 year old? Right? Why are we teaching people ABC, but we are not teaching people how to have relationships? So, for example, the point I made about you need to explicitly appreciate others is a proper skill. You need to learn how to do it. So therefore, these life skills, these success skills, of course, I want to cascade it by my talks, by my writing, etc. But I would also like to think about how this can become the foundation of education. How this can be something that everybody learns when they are at the right age. And therefore, these are behaviors you grow up with, right? Because if only we understood that most of the subjects that we study in school and college, actually we hardly ever refer back to that knowledge. What we are mostly using is our common sense in doing whatever career that we have at hand, right? Unless you happen to be some very specialized technical career. For most of us, it's common sense at work. So I think my real delight would be if I can turn these ideas into something that you can learn at a very young age in school, and it becomes part of the core curriculum of what we teach. And therefore, as you grow up, compassion, appreciation, collaboration are just natural skills that everybody has. That would be wonderful.
That is so amazing and so profound. Aseem, I cannot thank you enough for this conversation.
No, thank you.
You know, I have learned, I mean, I've known you all these years. I know the person that you are. And this conversation is so much more of just who you are. And the essence of that is grit, determination, humility, very high EQ. I've always known you as someone who's emotional, but someone who also knows how to communicate and how to kind of have those boundaries and march forward, and leadership, like a perfect balance of a person that I've known you as. And it has truly reflected in our conversations. The
Thank
depth
you.
that we touched upon, from FMCG to distribution to advertising and tech, and such profound conversation even about personal life and how to have productive life, how to have balance in life. Like I can just never thank you enough for this conversation.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure. I think we could keep going, right? But it's really fantastic, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Aseem. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.